You think your purpose is lost? Let me tell you something. It's not lost. It's not gone. It hasn't disappeared. Your purpose is still right there. It's alive. It's breathing. It's burning in your soul, but you can't feel it right now because it's buried. It's buried under years of fear, of doubt, of hesitation, of all the lies your mind has rehearsed over and over until you started to believe them. See, we're not born confused. We're not born unsure of what excites us. When you were a kid, you knew. You followed your curiosity without thinking. You played, you imagined, you created. You didn't ask for permission. You didn't stop to calculate the risks. You didn't care who was watching. You just moved.
You were in flow. That was purpose. That was alignment.
That was truth before the world taught you fear. But over time, life started to teach you something else. Be careful. Don't take too many chances. Stay in line. Fail. Don't look stupid. And slowly, fear started to wrap itself around your spirit like a vine, and you didn't even realize it, but you started shrinking. You stopped raising your hand. You stopped speaking your truth. You stopped reaching for what you really wanted and settled for what you thought was safe. And now here you are telling yourself you don't know what your purpose is, that you're lost, that maybe you just don't have one. But deep down, you know that's not true. You do know, you've always known, you've just buried it so deep beneath your fear that you've forgotten where to look. You want to find your purpose. You've got to face the fear that's sitting on top of it. You've got to peel back the layers that have been building up for years. Layers of, what if I fail? Layers of, what will they think? Layers of, I'm not enough. You've got to strip all that away and get real with yourself, brutally honest. Because until you do, you'll keep spinning in circles, mistaking distraction for destiny. You see, fear doesn't show up as some monster in the closet. Fear is sneaky. It whispers. It tells you to stay comfortable. It tells you to wait for the right time. It convinces you that now just isn't the moment. And you listen to that voice, not because you're weak, but because you've practiced listening to it for so long that it sounds like truth. But it's not truth. It's a script. And you can rewrite it. That fire in your gut, that feeling that there's something more random, that's not restlessness. That's your purpose trying to break through. But purpose doesn't rise in comfort. It doesn't grow when everything's easy. Purpose lives in the stretch. It lives in the leap. It lives in the moment you stop letting fear be your decision maker and start letting your vision lead instead. The truth is, fear is not your enemy. It's your indicator. If you feel fear, you're standing at the edge of something that matters. You're close. Fear shows up when you're near the boundary of your breakthrough. Most people take that as a signal to back off. But champions, those who live with passion, those who make impact, they treat fear as a green light. They feel it and they lean in. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm saying it's going to be worth it. Because when you start moving toward your fear, you start reconnecting with your power. And when you reconnect with your power, your purpose starts rising to the surface. It's been there all along. It's just been buried under excuses, under people's opinions, under years of conditioning that made you believe you're smaller than you are. But let me tell you something, you're not small. You're not broken. You're not confused. You are powerful beyond belief. But you've got to stop searching for your purpose out there in the job title, the next big idea, in someone else's approval. Purpose doesn't live out there. Purpose starts with it. And to access it, you've got to dig through the fear. You've got to confront the stories. You've got to break the pattern and reclaim your truth. Because your soul is not confused. Your heart knows exactly what it's here to do, but it will not fight through fear for you. That's your job. Your job is to listen to whisper and move. Your job is to remember what lights you up and go toward it like your life depends on it, because it does. Fear, let's talk about it. Not the kind that saves your life, the kind that steals it. Not the fear that keeps you from walking into traffic, but the fear that keeps you from stepping into your purpose. The fear that keeps whispering, you're not ready, you're not smart enough, you're not good enough. That fear, it's not real. It's a story, it's a script. And the craziest part, it's a story you wrote and you've been telling it to yourself for years. We all do it. We have these experiences. Someone criticizes us. We fail at something. We get rejected. We feel pain. And we don't just feel it. We make it mean something. We turn it into a belief. I guess I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm just not talented enough. Would I try again and fall on my face? And boom, that's it. That belief locks in. You don't even notice it, but suddenly your mind starts looking for more evidence, more reasons why you can't, more reasons why it's too risky, too late, too much. And guess what? Whatever you look for, you're going to find. You start to prove your fear right by living small, by hesitating, by holding back. And then you look around and say, see, I told you I couldn't do it. But that's not truth. That's not fact. That's a story you've been feeding over and over until it became your reality. Fear isn't the voice of truth. It's the voice of protection. Your brain's doing its job. It wants to keep you safe. But safe and alive are not the same thing. Safe and fulfilled are not the same thing. Some of you are so focused on avoiding pain that you've been avoiding your purpose. And you call it wisdom. You call it being realistic. But deep down, you know it's fear dressed up in logic, hiding behind excuses. And let me tell you, fear loves to show up in disguise. It wears the mask of perfectionism. I'm just not ready yet. It hides under procrastination. I'll start when I have more time. It even shows up as fake humility. Who am I to think I can do this? But here's the truth, you're afraid, and that's okay. But let's not pretend it's anything else. Let's not dress it up in fancy language and call it strategy when it's really just a stall. You want to break free. You've got to change the story. You've got to interrupt the pattern. That voice in your head that says, don't do it, stay small, stay hidden. You've got to learn to hear it, recognize it, and say, thank you for trying to protect me, but I'm not living by that story anymore. Because the moment you change the story, you change the emotion. And when you change the emotion, you change the action. And action what breaks fear every single time. Not thinking, doing it. That's where power lies. That's where freedom begins. Look, I've met people with more talent than they'll ever use. People with brilliance, creativity, energy, but they're frozen. Not because they lack ability, but because they've told themselves the same fear-driven story for so long that they can't see the truth anymore. They're not stuck because of their circumstances. They're stuck because of the narrative running in their mind. But here's the good news. You wrote that story, and you can rewrite it. You can grab the pen right now and flip the script. You can decide that fear is no longer your narrator, that your life isn't going to be directed by doubt and hesitation, that from this moment forward, you're going to live from vision, from courage, from truth. You have to remember, your mind is powerful, but it's not always accurate. It reacts to patterns. It's trained by repetition. So if you've been repeating a fearful story, guess what it's going to keep producing? Fear, doubt, paralysis. But the moment you begin to repeat a different story, one of strength, one of possibility, one of certainty, that's when things start to shift. That's when your energy changes, your decisions change, your life changes. And I know, you might say, but what if the fear is real? What if I really do fail? And my answer is to, so what, you will fail. That's not the question. The question is, will you let fear stop you before you even try? Or will you choose to walk through the fear and see who you become on the other side? Because fear will always be there. You don't get rid of it. You outgrow it. You build a stronger story, a deeper reason, a more compelling future. You stop telling yourself the tale of why you can't, and you start telling the truth about why you must. And that truth, that story, that's where everything begins to change. You want to know where dreams go to die in failure? It's not in rejection. It's not in mistakes or setbacks or even heartbreak. You know where they go to die, inside comfort zones. That's the real killer. Not the risk, not the pain, not the hustle. It's the quiet, cozy, familiar bubble where everything feels fine, where you never stretch, never push, never leap, and slowly, piece by piece, your dreams rot. Comfort zones feel good in the moment. Let's be real, it's familiar, it's safe. You know what to expect. There's no surprise, no rejection, no uncertainty, but you've got to understand, doesn't equal growth. Comfort is maintenance. Comfort is survival mode, and you weren't born just to survive. You were born to live, to expand, to chase something that sets your soul on fire, but you can't do that when you're gripping the edge of what feels safe with white knuckles, terrified to take one step into the unknown. And I get it, it's scary out there, it's messy, it's unpredictable, but guess what? That's where life is, that's where meaning is, that's where the real you lives. See, your soul doesn't grow inside a padded box. It doesn't grow inside routine and repetition the same damn day on repeat. Growth happens in the stretch. Growth happens when you're uncomfortable, when you're unsure, when you're challenged. That's when you discover who you really are. Not the version of you that keeps everything neat and tidy, but the one who digs deep and finds power they didn't know they had. You've got to stop mistaking comfort for peace. They're not the same thing. Peace comes from alignment. Comfort's from avoidance. One fills your heart, the other numbs it. And too many people are walking around dead inside, settling for a life they don't love. Not because they're incapable, but because they won't leave the zone that's slowly burying their potential. I talk to people every day who say, I'm just not fulfilled. I feel stuck. I don't know why. And when we really get into it, what they're doing is clinging to certainty. They're addicted to knowing how it's going to go, so they avoid anything that looks like risk. And in doing that, they avoid the very experiences that would unlock their next level. They say they want transformation, but they keep choosing predictability. And let me tell you, you can't have both. You either get to stay safe or you get to grow, but you don't get both. The comfort zone is seductive. It tells you to stay right where you are. It whispers, don't make waves. Don't rock the boat. Let's not do anything crazy. And that voice, it's not evil. It's scared. It's trying to protect you. But if you let it drive, it'll keep you on the same road forever, start the same dreams, never getting any closer. 1 year turns into 5, 5 turns into 10. And before you know it, you're looking back, wondering what could have been if you just had the guts to try. You want to know what real pain is. Real pain is regret. Real pain is knowing you were built for more and settling for less. Real pain is burying your gifts just to keep your ego from getting bruised. But here's the thing, pain is part of the process. Discomfort is part of the deal. If you're chasing anything worth having, you're going to face resistance. You're going to fall. You're going to doubt yourself. But that's where the magic happens. That's the test. The discomfort is the gatekeeper. It's standing in front of your dream saying, prove you're serious. Prove you're willing. Prove you're not just interested. You're committed. And you've got to get honest with yourself. Are you committed or are you just curious? Are you flirting with your dream? Or are you ready to go to war for it? Because the truth is, nobody to come kick down your comfort zone for you. Nobody's going to drag you into your next level. You've got to choose it. You've got to decide that your future is worth more than your fear. You've got to step into the uncertainty, into the unknown, and trust that who you become on the other side will be stronger than anything you're afraid of right now. Growth is uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. Becoming the person you're meant to be, uncomfortable. But so is staying stuck. So is waking up every day with that nagging voice in your gut that says, there's more than this. And if you're going to be uncomfortable either way, why not choose the discomfort that leads somewhere? Why not choose the one that brings you to life? The comfort zone may feel like safety, but it's really a slow death. It's a prison without bars. A quiet killer, because it convinces you to settle, to play small, to dim your light. And the worst part is, it doesn't happen all at once. It happens a little each day. Every time you say no to growth, no to risk, no to the thing that scares you but also excites you. Let me tell you something that might shake you a little. You weren't born to fit in. You weren't born to just go through the motions, collect a paycheck, play it safe, and wait for the weekend. You were born with purpose. You were born with a fire in your soul, something unique, divine, something that nobody else on this planet was wired to do exactly like you. That's not some fluffy motivational line. That's truth. It's in you. It's in your DNA. You didn't come here by accident. I don't care what your circumstances were, how you were raised, where you came from, what you've been through. That's your story, but it's not your identity. Your purpose didn't begin when you got a degree. It didn't start when someone approved of you. It didn't come alive when you got that promotion or hit that milestone. It was already in you before you were ever told who you should be. See, when you were a kid, you felt it. It didn't need anyone to give you permission to dream big. You didn't hesitate. You didn't apologize for being bold, for asking questions, for imagining a life beyond what anyone else could see. That wasn't ego. That was alignment. That was you untouched by fear, unfiltered by the opinions of others. That was purpose before the world got loud. But over time, we start listening to the noise. We start taking in the judgments, the rules, the expectations. And slowly we start shrinking. We start thinking our value comes from performance, from pleasing, from perfection. And little by little, we disconnect. Not because our purpose went anywhere, but because we stopped listening to the part of us that always knew. You ever have that moment, maybe late at night, maybe in a quiet space, where something inside you whispers, there's more than this. That's not restlessness. That's your purpose knocking. That's your soul trying to get your attention. That's not some outside goal trying to pull you. It's your internal wiring trying to wake you up. But here's the problem. Most people are trying to find their purpose like it's out there somewhere hidden behind a rock or waiting in a job posting. Purpose isn't something you find. It's something you remember. It's something you come back to when you strip away the fear, the doubt, the pressure to be someone you're not. Your purpose isn't lost. It's buried under years of trying to fit and instead of standing out. You were born with gifts, real ones, the kind that can't be taught. Maybe it's the way you lead, it's the way you inspire. Maybe it's the way you create, the way you connect, the way you feel things that other people miss. That's not random, that's not luck. That's wiring, that's on purpose, for a purpose. But if you don't use those gifts, if you don't listen to that voice inside, if you keep playing small because it's safer, then you're not just robbing yourself. You're robbing the people who need what you're here to give. Purpose isn't about you. It's not just about your goals or your success. It's about impact. It's about contribution. It's about becoming fully alive so others remember they can be too. And don't think for a second that purpose means everything's going to be easy. No, it's going to challenge you. It's going to stretch you. It's going to take you right to the edge of what think you're capable of. And that's the point. Purpose grows you. It forces you to rise. It demands that you become more than the version of you that settled, more than the version that needed approval, more than the version that hid behind fear. Every time you feel resistance, every time you feel fear, every time you feel unworthy, remember this, it's because you're standing right next to your purpose. That's why it's hard. That's why it's uncomfortable, because purpose asks for everything. It asks for your courage. It asks for your honesty. It asks you to stop pretending, stop performing, and start living like your life matters, because it does. This isn't about hype. This is about waking up. This is about refusing to live one more day numb to the truth that you've always carried. You don't need to wait for clarity. You need to move. You need to stop asking for guarantees and start trusting the part of you that already knows the way. Your heart already knows. Your spirit already knows. You were born with this. It's in you. It's always been in you. Let's get real. The thing you're avoiding, the thing you keep running from, distracting yourself from, talking yourself out of, that's the path. That pain you're afraid to feel, that conversation you don't want to have, that failure you're terrified might happen, that is the exact thing standing between the life you have and the life you want. It's not just an obstacle. It's the assignment. We live in a world that's obsessed with comfort. Numb the pain, avoid the discomfort. Escape the hard stuff. Just scroll, just shop, eat, just binge, just do anything but face what hurts. But here's the truth. Nothing grows in comfort. Nothing powerful is born from playing it safe. The pain you're avoiding, that's your teacher. That's your fire. That's your opportunity to evolve into the person you're meant to become. People think pain is punishment. It's not. It's feedback. It's a signal. It's your soul saying, wake up. There's something here you need to feel. There's something here you need to face. There's something here you need to transform. And if you keep numbing it, if you keep pushing it away, you just get stuck in a cycle of half living. You're good at survival, but terrible at living fully, deeply, freely. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs I've ever witnessed, some of the deepest transformations didn't happen in a moment of inspiration. They happened in a moment of real pain, a divorce, a diagnosis, a failure, a betrayal. And what made the difference wasn't the pain itself, it was what that person did with it. Because you have a choice. You can let pain break you, or you can let it build you. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying pain feels good. It doesn't, it's brutal. But it's not the enemy, the avoidance is. Avoiding pain doesn't make it go away. It makes it grow in the dark. It turns a lesson into a life sentence. And one day you wake up and realize you've built your entire identity around dodging discomfort, around protecting your wounds, around not rocking the boat. But if you're going to create a life of meaning, a life that actually matters, then you've got to face the thing you've been avoiding. You've got to walk straight into the fire. Because the fire isn't there to destroy you, it's there to purify you. It burns away the lies, the stories, the limitations. It forces you to find your truth, to stand in it, to own it, and listen. It's not about chasing pain, it's about not running from it. Because everything you want on the other side of your fear, on the other side of your struggle, on the other side of that pain, it's all there, but you've got to walk the path. You've got to show up even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. You want real confidence. It doesn't come from avoiding failure. It comes from surviving it, from getting knocked down and getting back up, from walking through hell and realizing you didn't die, you grew. Confidence isn't built through ease, it's built through resilience. And resilience is forged in pain. There's a version of you on the other side of this that you haven't even met yet. A stronger you, a more compassionate you, a more focused, more grounded, more powerful you. But that version doesn't show up while you're hiding. That version comes to life when you lean into the hard stuff, when you stop pretending you're fine and start doing the real work. When you choose growth over comfort, And the truth is, deep down, you already know what that path is. You know the conversation you've been avoiding, the boundary you need to set, the risk you've been afraid to take, the healing you've been putting off. You know it. And yeah, it's going to hurt, but the hurt is part of the healing. You don't get to clarity without going through chaos. You don't get to wholeness without first facing the fracture. So many people spend their lives trying to build around the pain, trying to avoid it, work around it, hide it. And they wonder why they keep circling the same mountain, why they feel stuck, why they feel empty. It's because they skipped the path that was meant to shape them. They skipped the thing that would have forced them to level up. Not because they're weak, but because no one told them the pain is the path, that the wound is where the light enters, that the thing they're most afraid of might actually be the thing that sets them free. When you finally stop running, when you finally stop numbing and turn to face that pain head on, that's when the shift begins. That's when you start taking your power back. Not because the pain disappears, but because you stop being afraid of it. You stop letting it control you. You stop letting it define you. And you start letting it drive you towards something greater. Let's talk about fear. Not in theory, real fear. The kind that paralyzes you. The kind that whispers, what if you fail? What if they laugh? What if you're not enough? That fear, it shows up for all of us. I don't care how strong you are, how smart you are, how confident you seem. Fear is part of the game. But here's the thing though, fear isn't the enemy. Inaction is. Fear grows when you sit still. Fear grows when you overthink, when you hesitate, when you obsess over every worst case scenario instead of just moving forward. You know what kills fear? Action. Straight up, taking one bold step forward, not when you're ready, but when you're scared, especially when you're scared. Because the moment you move, the fear starts to shrink, not because the circumstances change, but because you do. When you take action, even small action, you shift your energy. You stop living in your head and start living in your body. You stop playing defense and start creating momentum. And momentum is everything. Action turns doubt into confidence. Action turns confusion into clarity. Action turns pain into progress. But you've got to move. There are so many people right now waiting for the perfect time, waiting to feel confident, waiting for a sign, waiting until the fear goes away before they take the leap. And they're going to be waiting forever because confidence isn't something you get before the action. It's something you built through it. Courage doesn't show up and then you move. You move and that's when courage shows up. Fear loves when you stay in your head because in your head, it has home court advantage. That's where it plays all the stories, all the lies, all the reasons why you're not ready, why you're going to fail, why you should wait, why it's too risky, why it's too late. And the longer you sit in that space, the more real those stories start to feel. But action breaks that cycle. It rips you out of the narrative and puts you back in the driver's seat. Look, your purpose isn't going to show up fully formed in a vision board. It's not going to be delivered to your doorstep with a step-by-step plan. Your purpose is revealed in motion, in doing. In stepping into the unknown and figuring it out as you go. You don't awaken your purpose through more thinking. You awaken it through living. Some of you are trying to feel your way into action. What you need to do is act your way into a new feeling. Move first, think later. Build as you go. You don't need all the answers. You just need to say yes to what's calling you, even if it terrifies you. Especially if it terrifies you. That fear is usually a signal, not that you're off course, but that you're on the edge of something that matters. You ever notice that the longer you wait to do something, the bigger it becomes in your mind? It starts out as a simple phone call, and suddenly it's this huge, overwhelming mountain. But then the moment you finally just pick up the phone and do it, it's like, that's it. That's what I was afraid of. That's the power of action. It exposes fear as the illusion that it is. And here's something else. When you act in the face of fear, you don't just move forward, you start to rewire your brain. You start teaching yourself on a deep cellular level that fear is not in charge. That fear doesn't dictate your choices. That fear can be there, but it doesn't get to hold the pen. And right there, that's when something incredible happens. When you start choosing action over avoidance, purpose wakes up. You start feeling alive again. You stop just surviving and you start living with intention. Because now you're not being led by fear. You're being led by something deeper, something true, something that comes from who you really are, not who the world told you to be. You want to know where people find their calling? In the doing, in the messy middle, not from books or podcasts or planning, from trying, from falling, from failing forward, from taking one uncertain step after another until suddenly they look back and realize they've built their proud of, a life on fire, a life with meaning, Fear wants you to pause, to second guess, to play it safe, but your purpose is not interested in your comfort. It's interested in your commitment, in your willingness to show up even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because that's when you're growing, that's when you're evolving, that's when you're becoming who you were born to be. This isn't about waiting for some magical wave of motivation to show up. It's about becoming the kind of person who moves anyway, who acts anyway, who knows the fear is there and still chooses forward. That's power. That's how you shatter the lie that fear is stronger than you ever were. Because once you start moving, once you start acting with intention, with purpose, with courage, you remember who you are underneath the noise. You reconnect to your strength. You start leading your life instead of reacting to it. You start living from a place of truth instead of a place of survival. And suddenly, the fear that once felt so loud becomes just another whisper in the background while you build something that actually matters. Let me ask you something straight up. Who's leading your life right now? Be honest. Is you, or is it your past? Is it your fear? Is it other people's expectations, your pain, your excuses, your patterns? Because the moment you realize it's not you in the driver's seat, that's the moment you've got to decide. No more. That's it. Draw the line, take it back. Because your life doesn't change when the circumstances change. Your life changes the moment you decide to take the lead. Most people are living in reaction. They wake up and immediately start responding to everything outside of them. Emails, deadlines, people's opinions, pressure, the news. It's like they're living someone else's life on autopilot. They're busy, sure, but they're not in control. They're not leading, they're drifting. And you can't drift your way to a meaningful life. You don't stumble into greatness. You lead your way there. Leading your life means getting radically honest about what you've been tolerating, what you've been settling for, what you've been allowing that you know deep down is keeping you small. Leadership isn't about titles or followers. It's about ownership. It's about owning your time, your energy, your direction, your decisions. It's about waking up and saying, I don't care how I've been living up until now. This is the moment I flip the switch. And let me tell you, when you do that, when you decide to lead, you don't need permission. You don't need everything to be figured out. You just need to commit. You need to draw a line in the sand and say, this version of me, the one that's been waiting, doubting, surviving, settling, that version's done. I'm not asking the world to change. I'm changing me, but here's what nobody tells you. Leading your life is work. It's not a one-time decision. It's not motivation you get from a podcast or a quote on Instagram. It's a standard you choose to raise every single day because life is going to test you. It's going to throw distractions, disappointment, discouragement, and fear your way. And leadership is about how you show up when it's hard, how you keep choosing what matters over what's easy, how you keep moving forward even when the ground beneath you is shaky. There's a reason most people don't lead their life. They're scared. Scared of failing, scared of being judged, scared of taking full responsibility because deep down, they know if they really led, they'd have no one else to blame. No more pointing fingers, no more playing small. When you lead your life, it's on you. Your results, your energy, your habits, your relationships, that level of ownership, it's not comfortable, but it's powerful. See, leadership doesn't start with a strategy, it starts with a decision, a real decision, not I'll try, not maybe someday. A decision that says, I'm done being a follower of my fear. I'm done outsourcing my happiness, my worth, my power. I'm done reacting to life like I'm some kind of victim. I'm taking the wheel. I'm designing this thing. That's the moment everything starts to shift. You start leading your health, not just reacting when there's a problem. You start leading your relationships, not waiting for someone else to validate you or show up for you first. You start leading your career, not waiting for a promotion, but showing up like a leader before anyone hands you a title. You start leading your mindset, not letting one bad day turn into a bad week or a bad life. And here's the truth. You don't need to have all the answers to lead. You just need to be willing. Willing to face yourself, willing to course correct, willing to do the hard things. Because leadership isn't about perfection, it's about direction. And when you choose direction, when you say, I don't know exactly how, but I know I'm not staying here, that decision alone changes everything. People around you will feel it. Your energy will shift. Your body will respond. Your mind will sharpen. Your confidence will build. Because something inside you finally woke up. And that something isn't hype. It's you, the real you, the one who was always there underneath the noise, underneath the stories. That version of you doesn't need to be found. It needs to be led. You've got to stop waiting for life to give you the green light. You are the green light. You don't need more time. You need more truth. You need to stop negotiating with your potential and start demanding more from yourself. Start leading with vision, with courage, with conviction, like your life depends on it, because it does. And when you lead your life from that place, the world starts responding differently. Not because it changed, but because you did, because you finally decided who you're going to be, how you're going to show up, and what you're no longer available for. That decision, that shift, that moment, that's where everything begins to transform. So here's the truth that ties it all together. Your purpose isn't lost, it's buried under fear. But fear isn't your final chapter. It's just the resistance that shows up before the breakthrough. And the only way through it is forward, through action, through courage, through ownership. You've got to stop waiting for permission, stop playing small, and start showing up like the leader of your own life, because the pain you avoid, the comfort zone you cling to, the stories you keep telling yourself, they've been standing in the way of the life that's already yours. The one wired into your soul, the one that was never missing, just waiting for you to step into it. Everything changes the moment you decide to stop existing and start leading. The moment you stop reacting and start creating. The moment you look fear in the face and say, I'm not backing down, I'm not hiding, I'm becoming. That's the moment you start remembering who you really are. That's when your life ignites with purpose, with passion, with meaning. And if you take nothing else from this, take this: you're not broken, you're not behind, and you're not stuck. You're ready, more ready than you've ever been. This is your moment. Own it, lead it, live it. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for choosing growth. And thank you for deciding right now to become who you were always meant to be.